Hey guys, it's Sarah, and today I'm going to show you how to make a dress for your American Girl doll like this, a gathered dress. It's super easy. Whoop, you don't need a pattern or anything. I've made 2 of them so far. She also has one. And alright, let's get started. First of all, you're going to need a piece of fabric, and it needs to be 10 inches in length and 20 inches in width. You can measure it out or whatever. The length is most important, that it's 20 inches, but the width can be different depending on how long you want the dress. If you want it longer, like this first one, this is exactly 20 inches. And hold on. Doing this one-handed here. I don't have my tripod with me. So this is 20 inches, and it goes down a little below her knees. And this is, I think I cut like an inch off of this one when I did it, so it's probably a little bit shorter. Or if you want to make a shirt, then you can measure down to wherever you want the shirt to end, and then make it an inch longer than that for your seam allowance. Or if you want, you can just measure up from where your doll's armpit is down to where you want it to end and make it that long. So you need your fabric, you need pins, a sewing machine obviously, thread of your choice of color, and you need elastic thread. Now this elastic thread you can buy at Walmart or any type of craft store, and you need scissors, and you need an iron. Now, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to fold over your seam, or your fabric, and iron along on both ends. And once I do that, I'll tell you where to go from there. Okay, when you're done with ironing, your fabric should look like this. I went ahead and cut off about this much of it because I wanted it to be smaller, or I wanted it to be a shorter dress. This is going to be the bottom, and I turned it under twice. If you want to do that, you can. You don't have to, but it does look a little nicer when you're finished if you do. And then this is the top. Now, another thing I forgot to say that you're going to need is either some ribbon. There's Mia waiting for her dress. You either need some ribbon for the straps. Both of their straps are made out of ribbon. Or you need to have some extra fabric to make the straps out of. But I'm going to use this, and I'll show you how to do that when we get there. The first thing you're going to do is thread your sewing machine with your color of choice, and you are going to sew the bottom of your, I gotta place it better, but you're gonna sew the bottom and leave the top alone for a minute, and the next step will be in just a second. Okay, when you're done sewing the bottom, you are going to take your bobbin out, take out the thread that's in it, and then you are going to take your elastic thread, and you have to take a completely different bobbin, and then you need to wrap the elastic thread around the bobbin by hand and fill it up as much as you can, depending on how many dresses you want to make. I filled the whole thing up when I first started, and I've made 2 dresses now so far with it, and this is how much I have left of it on this bobbin. So fill it up as you want, and then put it in your bobbin, and then put it back in there, and we'll go from there as soon as I do this. I wish I could videotape it, but I can't do it one-handed. Okay, and now you're going to feed your thread, pick up your thread. Here, let's see if I can do this with this hand. Pick up the elastic thread, and it'll pick up just like regular thread does. And then you are ready to get started. Now, you're going to take your fabric, and you have to put it in upside down, the opposite way of which you would normally do it, so that the pink or whatever your chosen thread color is the one that's on the bottom. And then put your presser foot down, leave all the settings the same, leave it on your regular seam allowance, leave it on straight, don't do zigzag or anything, and then just sew along and make sure you backstitch, and I'll show you what it looks like. And don't freak out if it gets gathery, because that's what we want it to do. So we'll show you that whenever I get done with that. Okay, when you're done with your first one and you've cut it out of the machine, you should see this. It's just going to be a little bit gathery. And what you're going to do is you are actually going to do that 5 to 6 times, depending on how much you would like to do it. So then this next step is kind of important. Let me do this for just a second. Okay. You need to line up this first thread, first sewing line with the edge of your presser foot, and keep it lined up the entire time you sew each time. And then whenever you're done with the next line, line this line up with the edge of your presser foot, so that it makes even stitches, because you don't want a gathery dress that's like all uneven and going in opposite directions. So you are going to do that 5 or 6 times. Just repeat just a straight line, and make sure that whenever you sew after you've done one, just pull the elastic a little bit and pull it straight as it goes through the machine. And then other than that, you can leave it alone and leave it gathery, but just make sure that it's straight whenever it's going through your machine. So I'll show you what it looks like whenever we've got 6 stitches. Okay, so once you're done, I did 6 layers. Once you're done, get your dolly, strip her down naked, and put this on her. And I just pinned the end for a second to show you a variety in the fabrics. If you use a plain, like 100% cotton fabric, for some reason, I guess it depends on the thickness. Since this is only my 3rd one, I'm not too experienced with the gathered hem yet. But anyways, the fabric is really thick, so it didn't gather as much as these 2 fabrics did. And this is just like a really light linen fabric. And so this one gathered a whole lot more, and so did this one. And I think this is gingham or I don't know what it's called. Anyways, I don't know if you can tell, but it's not nearly as thick as this cotton. So what you're going to have to do if you're using 100% cotton and that happens is just pin it to where you're going to want it. Pin it all the way down, and then you're going to stitch along and stitch that up. Once you pin it inside out, obviously, and then I'll do that and we'll go from there. Okay, so replace your elastic thread bobbin with regular thread. So you've got 2 regular threaded parts of your sewing machine now. And sorry, I'm going on a little sleep. Anyways, you are going to just sew down where you put your pins for where it fit on your doll, and you want the elastic to be stretched a little bit when you put it on her, so that it stays on, but not too much, so that you can see the gathers. And I'm also meant to tell you that you don't even have to put straps on it if you don't want to. You can just be a strapless dress. That's totally up to you. But anyways, so we're going to stitch along here and then trim it. I'll show you how to trim it in just a sec. Okay, now we're going to trim it. I would trim it about, here's the seam. I'm going to trim it to leave about that much fabric. The reason that I have you stitch it up first before you trim it is because if you trim it first, then you might release the back stitch. Well, you will release the back stitch depending on how much you trim, and that will cause your elastic to unravel. So trim that up, and then we'll go from there.